Welcome back to the garden. Welcome back to Blue Heron Hill. I'm Sue, and yes, we're going to be digging in the dirt again today. If you can see in the background here in the main garden, I've been busy putting my beds to bed for the dormancy that's going to happen during the winter. I'll put down any compost I have. Leaves haven't fallen quite yet, so I haven't been able to shred up some turned leaves already. I will do that, and I can push them under the tarping that I have now. But I put chicken bedding down and chicken manure, any compost that I have already started. It doesn't have to be fully composted because over the winter with these black tarps on it, it should do a very good job of breaking down and be ready in the springtime for planting. It also will suppress the weeds and give me just a wee bit of start on my garden so I don't have to do so much weeding in the spring. Weeds always love spring. They're just ready to go at moment's notice to start growing. But what I am out here today going to do is plant garlic. Yes, we're planting in the fall. It's lovely. I'm so excited. This is the last thing to go into the garden. I have some pretty nice sized heads of garlic here. Ooh. And we're going to break these cloves apart and plant them in the garden. So let me talk just a wee bit about garlic. I do have some other videos if you want to go back and look at those videos on planting garlic. Mostly the same stuff, but I kind of wanted to go over a little bit of this again. So we plant the garlic in the autumn. My mother would always say, you got to plant it before Halloween because that's when Dracula comes out. Anyway, so I try and get it in, if I can, the end of September or the beginning of October, which we are right now, and my zone is 6A. And so our first frost is the beginning of October. Haven't had it yet. I think the official day is the 3rd. Depending upon what you look at, it could be the 3rd or the 10th. Haven't had it yet, but we've gotten close. So we're going to plant garlic in the fall. Now we still have time for this bulb. Let me get a clove out of here. There we go. Okay. This clove is really kind of like a seed. This is what's going to give us the next crop, or the next full clove of garlic next summer, on about the end of June, beginning of July. So we're going to plant it here in the autumn before the killing frosts come in, and we're going to give this a chance to develop roots and get started. And once the cold weather comes in, even if the ground is frozen, these will go dormant. But then as it warms up in the springtime, they'll sprout and they will start growing again. And they'll be there and they'll be able to go at their own pace and not have us trying to worry about, oh dear, do I plant it now? Is it too early? Is it too late? No, plant it now in the fall. That's the wonderful thing about garlic. Now, it can be planted anytime between now and even in early spring. But I found that in early spring, and I have planted it in the springtime before, that I don't get a very good yield from it. And then, of course, it matures later. And you'll see, like, I like to plant fall gardens. So if I have garlic that I'm going to harvest in early July, I have now a bed that is ready to go with little amendments for fall garden plantings, say brassicas or lettuces or things like that. So that's the benefit of planting your garlic in the fall and getting it harvest early. Then you have a bed that's not just going to be, lying here naked and not doing anything productive for you as a gardener. Another thing would be to plant a couple different kinds of garlic. Now there are two basic kinds of garlic. There are hard-neck varieties and there are soft-neck varieties, and that's exactly what it is. This here is a hard neck, meaning this neck here is hard and it doesn't bend. Those lovely braids of garlic that you see in the farmers markets and you pay an exorbitant price for them because they've braided them, those are soft neck, meaning it's soft here and pliable, and you can braid it. I go with the hard neck. I find these are they do for me a little bit better in storage, and they grow a little bit better for me. This year, I think maybe the last 6 years in a row at least, I've grown the same variety. Now, my problem is I have no idea what variety this is. But what I do every year is I plant a bed of garlic and I pull off the better looking heads of garlic. The ones that are big, the ones that are going to give me a very large clove. These I save and these I use to plant in the fall for the next year's harvest. I've found that I've gotten some great garlic harvests that way. The heads are bigger, they're more flavorful actually, and I save those small ones for eating throughout the winter months and using them in garlic powders and things like that. So if you can, plant a couple different varieties and see what you like best. You can plant all hardnecks, but plant a couple different varieties like that. I think every year I say I'm going to go and get a variety and plant it so I know what it is. But I've had such good luck with these from year after year after year in my garden that, I think I might just stick to this. Although maybe next year, if I think about it, I may get a new variety and probably hardneck and see how that does for me. As I said before, I like to choose a nice large head, and then that's going to give me some very nice large cloves, or this is my seed garlic. And these are going to be able to give the garlic plant a very large store of food, so it will grow and not have a problem gathering its nutrients for the next full head that it's going to grow. So I pull off the larger ones. I like to save the cloves. Some people just, like me, I just break up my cloves as I'm out here and I'm going to be sticking them in the ground. I have read that some people soak these overnight. I guess that's fine. I've never tried that. To me, this has worked just fine, plopping them in the ground. You're going to be plopping them in the ground this way. This end right here would be the root end. This is the root end, as you can see, comes off like that. That's where the roots were growing on the original. So that goes in this way into the ground. And I'm sure you've seen garlic sprout, and so the green sprouts come up this way, so you don't want them hampered in any way in fighting their way out of the ground, or if you're going to have a lopsided garlic head. Now after I get these all planted, I'm going to mulch this, and I'm probably going to give it a good 2 inches of mulch to start. And the head, these little sprouts are going to push right through that, no problem at all. Garlic doesn't like to compete with weeds, kind of like onions, and onions have a very tough time if they have to compete with the weeds, you know, and those weeds just want to gobble up all the nutrients in the soil, and same thing with the garlic. So mulch it. So you can either put straw, I'm going to put some straw down, shredded up leaves, and once the leaves start falling from the trees, I'll do that. Put some more leaves on top. Grass clippings, if you have those, they'll form a nice mat. And then in the springtime, when they're up and growing even more, because these will pop up out of the ground at least 3-4 inches by the time we start getting frost coming in regularly. So continue to mulch on into the springtime and into the summer, and pull those few weeds that happen to sprout out, because these luscious cloves don't want weeds to compete with. It's really a pretty easy crop to grow, and it's, you know, it's well worth it. You do have to keep some back for the next year if you're going to use what you had. So you have to think about holding back a certain number. My cloves this year looks like they have at least 4 to 5 cloves on each one. So if I'm going to plant 100 cloves, I'm going to need to hold back 25 of these, and for replanting here in the fall. So let's get to it. Let's go dig in the dirt. Okay, here we are down in the garden bed, and I've amended this bed. This is not where I planted garlic last year. I'm a firm believer in a rotational gardening plan where I change my beds every year and never grow the same thing in the same bed. What I have here is a board, and it's just a mock-up where I have every 6 inches I'm going to be planting these. So my spacing, the recommended spacing is about 4 to 8 inches apart. So I'm just taking a middle of the road in 6 inches, and they go about 2 inches deep. That's what you want to do. So I've just laid these out like this. All I had to do, because my bed is nice and fluffy, all I have to do is wiggle this in about 2 inches, my finger, and then just plop that down in there. Some people like to do a row, a channel that they hoe out, and then sometimes I'll put compost in there. I've got compost in my bed. My bed is nice and fluffy. It's got good soil. I'm very confident that I have a nice substrate for this garlic to grow in. So I'm just going to go across, and that is a biggie. Let's hope he grows up into a nice, huge head of garlic. All you have to do is just cover those up. No need to tamp them down really hard. And then I'll just take my board and move it on down the line. Sometimes I'll take the head here, the stalk, and I'll just put it at the end, and it'll kind of give me a visual of where these things are going to pop up, although it's no real big deal. And I don't always do this, but these little papers are fine flying around, good for the compost eventually. And we'll just go ahead, and I've got a whole bed of garlic to dig in. And I'll be back when I'm all done. Done. So I brought out to the garden 24 heads of garlic. I have 7 across, and I have 16 rows. So if my math is correct, I have 112 heads of garlic gonna come up next, be ready for harvest next early July. A nice cozy bedding for the garlic. If in a couple days it doesn't rain, and I'm not sure that it's supposed to, I'm gonna come out here and give it a good watering. These cloves need to start growing, so even though my soil is a little bit moist, a little bit extra water would never hurt. It has to start growing some roots from this end, and it has to push those sprouts out from this end. So I would hazard to guess that maybe within 2 weeks, I'm going to see sprouts out here. So I have an Instagram page. I'll link that below. Go over there and check it out. And I post a little bit more frequently over there. So if you like this video, give me a thumbs up. If you haven't already, subscribe. Lots more coming up. Garden duties are winding down, but I'm going to take you into the kitchen and show you what I do with a lot of this this produce that I've been growing all summer long. Some new recipes, new ways of preserving, all sorts of stuff that happens around Blue Heron Hill. So subscribe, comment, and like. So until the next time that we can go digging in the dirt, happy gardening. Bye.